Welcome children to today's session. We are going to study sexual reproduction in plants. So let us study the flower first. Parts of a flower. The flower has got two sets of parts. One is the essential parts and the other is the non-essential parts. Now in this category, non-essential parts, we include the sepals and the petals. Now although it is termed as non-essential, I will just tell you what the functions of these parts are. The sepals keep the flower bud safe before it blooms from attack of insects and other pests. The flower is the flower's petals are colored bright and beautiful, the ones which bloom in during the daytime to attract insects and birds and butterflies for pollination, and the ones which bloom at night, the petals are white in color so that the flower is visible at night and it attracts moths and other nocturnal insects for pollination purpose. Now these two are called non-essential because they are not directly involved in reproduction. The other other two structures which are directly involved in reproduction are called as the essential parts of the flower, and which includes the male part, which is the androecium, and the female part, which is the gynoecium. The androecium consists of all the set of stamens in the flower, and the gynoecium includes all the set of pistils or carpels in the flower. Now let us study the different parts in detail. The green color part is the sepal, the colored part is the petal, then the pistil is divided into three parts, the stigma, the style and the ovary, and the stamen is divided into two parts, the anther. This top one is called as the anther, and the base part of it is called as the filament. Together it is called as the stamen. The anther contains the male gamete or the pollen grain, which is having half the number of chromosome. It is the pollen grain, which is called as the male gamete, and the pistil has got ovules in the ovary, which has got the female gamete, which is called as the egg or the female gamete. Now flowers, depending on how they have got the reproductive parts, they are classified as unisexual and bisexual. When the flower containing either stamen or pistil, the flower is called unisexual. Example, papaya, watermelon, pumpkin, etc. When the flower contains both stamen and pistil, then the flower is called as bisexual flower. Example, hibiscus, mustard, tomato, etc. Now let us look into the different types of pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower is called pollination. This can take place by wind, water or insects. If the pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the stigma of the same flower, it is called as self-pollination. And if it is transferred from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower, then it is called as cross-pollination. Let us move on to the next topic, fertilization. After the pollen grain is transferred to the stigma of a flower, it produces a pollen tube which passes through the style and enters the ovary and ovule. In the ovule, the male germ cell, that is the male gamete, fuses with the female gamete to form a zygote. The process is called fertilization. After fertilization, the zygote divides several times and forms the embryo, which develops into the seed, and the ovary develops into the fruit. So with this, I end today's session. These concepts are to be written down in the classwork notebook. Thank you.